Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by Generals Joe's Reborn.com, with me as your host, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostic 80. For today's episode, I'm all on my own. In this regular video series, I round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, me?
Hello, it is the Full Force Weekly, and I am Christopher McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80. And yes, I'm on my own again today, but only because I don't think Pat is awake yet. In any case, he may be joining a little bit later on, but I thought I'd put that intro in at the beginning, just in case he doesn't make it today. But yeah, unfortunately, you just got me on this one. It looks like I've been fighting, and I said this on the last news burst, but I got hit on the nose by a clipboard. By accident. I was lifting a box and the clipboard just attacked me. I put it on top of the box that I was lifting up and it went doink, and I was like, yep, that's going to leave a mark, and it did. So I haven't been fighting, I've just been being clumsy. Anyway, hope you guys are all doing well in the chat. Hope everyone is having a good start to their weekend. I know it's early, it's Saturday. We've got lots to talk about, including things that kind of kicked off yesterday a little bit as well, in with, like, you know, live stream information and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Anyway, hope everyone's doing really well in the chat. I'll try and get to as many comments as I possibly can, as is possible, and we'll get it started. So let's do this. If only I had primed the video before saying that. Right then, we'll start with New Zealand Mint, who have revealed their latest Roadblock coin. Now, we've had a number of different coins from the New Zealand Mint, officially licensed for a couple of years now, actually. We had, I believe, the first few, we had like a Snake Eyes one, we had the Marvel cover issue 1 kind of coin as well. I think they've all been $2 coins, like the one you can see on the screen at the moment, and they've all been this kind of rectangular shape as well. We've also had Duke as well. I nearly forgot Duke. So Duke, Snake Eyes, the Marvel cover 1, and Roadblock. I think that's it. Can't remember any of the others actually off the top of my head, if there have been others, but yeah, there's been quite a few that they've released in these cute little boxes that open up. Now, these are $99, which is hilarious, isn't it, for a $2 coin? It is $2 in New Zealand, I guess, so maybe that's the exchange rate. It's not. That was just a joke. Jamie Lynn Park says, I'm not sure I believe your story, Chris. It's a little on the nose. I like it very much. That's a good one, Jamie Lynn. I had to read that out loud because it's hilarious. Hello, Mark, in the comments from Talking Joe. Happy Cobra Convergence 8 for all those who celebrate. Absolutely. Happy Cobra Convergence 8. I have done a tiny collaboration in Cobra Convergence 8, which I will talk about at the end in the shout-outs. But for now, let's stay back on track with Roadblock. Now, obviously, the imagery they use for these coins has been classified specifically, so all of that kind of first phase of classified artwork, we've seen it with Duke, we've seen it with Snake Eyes, I believe, and the only one that wasn't that was that kind of vintage Marvel issue 1 cover that they put on a coin. But that said, it's kind of cool that they do these little they do these little sort of classified homages, and the fact you've got the little like specialty call out right there as well, which is really cool. But anyway, that is Roadblock. There's not really much else to talk about on the coin, is there, really? Link in the description if you are interested in jumping on for that one. But that's effectively it. I am convinced Pat doesn't join these chats at the beginning, so he doesn't have to talk about coins, or what else have we had? Rubbish things. Just random things that don't actually relate to, you know, anything that we can talk about for a long period of time. So I will move on, and we may have a special guest joining us on the next part of the news, which is actually perfect timing for Pat, because it's a Transformers related story as well. So I've got to change all the graphics as well, so this is going to be tight. Let's see if I can do it. Yay! I think I just about made that in time. How you doing, Pat?
Doing okay. Very tired, but I'm okay.
I used the intro at the beginning that I was going to be on my own, and now it's a complete lie. You've joined me. I totally understand, and it's all good, man. But yeah, you're here just in time to miss out on the Roadblock coin, but get involved in the Transformers chat.
Oh, good. I was so looking forward to that coin as well.
Were you hoping I was going to cover the listings information first? Was that what you were hoping?
Maybe my internet will have some problems whenever that happens.
Mate, it's good to have you back on. It's been a couple of weeks because obviously I went solo 2 weeks ago because we were traveling to Missouri, and then the following weekend we just cancelled it completely. So is it good to be back?
Yeah, and before that I was at Joe Fest. So yeah,
it's been
good to be back.
It's
been like a month and a half.
Holy pants. Well, there you go. Pat is back.
Like, I don't know.
It's crazy, isn't it? Well, you're back just in time, buddy, to talk about Pangu Toys Suan Lee, which is a Snake Eyes triple changer. I mean, this is a bit out there, isn't it?
It's a lot out there to me. Yeah, I did see this. Does that staff bend, or does he come with two of them?
Not a clue. If you think I have any details on this, you are sorely mistaken. All I'm aware of on this bad boy is that Pangu Toys, who I'd never heard of before in my entire life, are a third-party company, and this is some sort of Snake Eyes triple changer where we get Snake Eyes, obviously, we get a kind of like car, like a sports car, and we get some sort of weird kind of creature, which I suppose is supposed to be like Timber, I guess, in a sense.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because I saw the picture of it and I was like, is that Ravage or Timber or a cross between the two?
So, it's a cross between the two. It's Rimba.
Right. So I think creature of some sort is appropriate.
It's Tavage. Anyway, yes. So we'll get to those images in a sec. But I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Like, are you like confused? Are you like?
I am, and I'm thinking that is this something that they had a different plan for, and this is almost a pre-paint of sorts, for them. Like, let's release a Snake Eyes one and it will sell, because those guns definitely have a movie Ravage kind of feel to them.
Okay,
for sure. So I don't know if there's some other plan to make some other toy from this, and it's a reference to something that I don't even know. It does have a very Michael Bay movie look to it too. So I really don't know what this is supposed to be honest.
Yeah, like I don't. Yeah, this feels like, sometimes something will come out like this that's the third party thing, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool. That's something that I can understand why it's happened. But this one has come out, and I'm kind of like, I don't quite get it. I don't quite get the point. But like, still, I don't know. It's okay. I think that's what it is. It's because it's like, it doesn't really do anything new, does it? It doesn't do anything like elevates the G.I. Joe Transformers kind of combo here. It kind of really just looks like a Transformer with Snake Eyes head, which again, I think that's the confusing part for me. It's like a human head on a Transformer body.
Well, yeah, it's a lot like those old Star Wars Transformers or the Marvel Transformers. Yeah,
the Wolverine one just went straight into my vision then as you said that. The Wolverine Transformer.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in terms of the actual figure itself, do you like the look of it, or is it this one of those things where you just like so checked out it doesn't even make any
yeah, there's no way that I'm paying money for this or paying storage at my house for this. It's just not going to happen. I'm really just not interested. If somebody else likes this, good for them. I don't. A lot of times, third-party stuff is filling a void.
Yeah, who's filling?
Hasbro's not going to get around to, or a lot of times lately, instead trying to beat them to the punch.
Yeah.
But this, I don't think is doing. I don't think is doing either of those things. I can't imagine Hasbro went, oh, we were just going to do that.
We were this close to doing Snake Eyes carb timber. Amazing. Snake Eyes looks chonky, says the figure 6-pack. A Punk with Toys has said, good morning, chat. Chris and Pat, who was one of the nicest people I met at Joe Fest.
Oh,
So
man, it was very nice to meet a Punk with Toys. Yes, very, very, very cool meeting him in person.
I think it's amazing that that's the name he was given at birth. It's incredible as well. I think that's great. Chucky Tinderbin says confused, aroused, incensed. I actually read that as licensed, which is even funnier because it's a third party one. All of the above, says Chucky Tinderbin. I've got someone has got to say it's good to be back, but in an Arnie Schwarzenegger's voice for Pat. So you got to say you got to do it in an Arnie voice, Pat. Can you do that?
No, I don't think I can because it's not. I'll be back. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I'll do it for you. There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Out of Shell Space said they just put a Snake Eyes on a Transformer. That's kind of what they've done here, isn't it? Basically,
yeah. I think that you probably will see this again in some other color that maybe will make more sense. Oh, and he's getting somewhere fast. Like he's got like the emergency lights up top. Okay.
So
All
what?
right.
So he's all not only is a sports car, but now he's an emergency vehicle sports car.
Yeah, he's an emergency vehicle. I don't understand it.
Everything just doesn't make sense anymore, does it? I see ninja stars on the side of the car at one point. There.
Oh yeah, are those just painted on, or do those come off?
You go to the other. No, they're stick-ons, aren't they? They attach because you can see the pegs on the other door.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I mean that's cool. I mean maybe somebody will get this in hand and review it, and it'll be awesome, and they'll love it.
Yeah,
good for them. But this just isn't for me.
Sword storage on the top of the car looks kind of funny as well, doesn't it? I quite that's like kibble, but on the vehicle mode.
Right.
Back kibble, but on a vehicle mode. I've never seen.
But at that point, it's not an emergency. Like
no.
When you're carrying your swords, you could just do that casually.
Yeah, that's casual sword maneuverage, and and of course we've got the what I thought was actually it's a bendy thing, or maybe you get a bendy one and a straight one.
That's what I was saying. Does that thing bend? Because if it bends, boy, is that going to be annoying whenever you want it to be a straight staff again.
I bet there's two different parts. I reckon there's a straight version and a curved one that you just unplug the things on. Is what I would expect on that. But if it is bendy, that's another interesting addition. Do you know what I'm getting vibes wise on the right hand side there, Pat? Zoids.
Oh, okay, Zoids. That's actually a good vibe to get.
It's a good vibe to get, but that's what I'm getting. I'm getting Zoids over there. Sorry, I've missed loads of comments. Mark has asked, this is a question. Next year, Full Force Weekly live from Joe Fest panel? Do you think we should do that, Pat?
I think that would be fun. Yeah. The panels were actually doing pretty well at Joe Fest this year. There was a lot of cool ones, and I didn't even have time for all the ones that were good. But I think that they may be moving it to a more. I'm hoping they move it to a better room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it?
But I think they are talking about that already. So.
Well, that's good. Toy Bounty Hunter says it's the all-new Nissan Timber, which I quite like. That's a fun way of framing this in a kind of car commercial sort of way. I could see this actually as a car commercial. I could see that driving along and then transforming into Timber, running down the road, and then transforming into Snake Eyes at the end, just for no apparent reason.
Yeah, for no reason. Yeah,
amazing.
And where are the third-party starriers, Chucky Tinderbin? I want to know that as well.
That is true. Where are they?
I want. Is it Geo? Is that the character that was never made from the comic? I think.
Yeah. A Punk with Toys says, Chris, it was just good for me that I like toys and I'm a punk, or it would have been a huge fight with my parents about that name. Brilliant. Yeah. the panels are going to be moved into a different room where you won't have traffic passing through there, ruining the sound. That's
what I thought.
That's good. Good to know. Thank you. Thank you, A-Punk. That's awesome. Well, that's it. That's all we've got about regarding Snake Eyes, or I should say Pangu Toys San Luis, I believe is the Suan Lee, sorry. So yeah, not sure where, why, where, how, or any of those questions. All we have are pretty pictures at this stage of the triple changing options that you have, and I suppose all of the accessories it comes with as well. There's a lot of accessories, it would appear, which again, if you're into that stuff, fantastic. But I think Pat and I will probably be passing on this one for now. I would laugh as well if we found out it's one of those oversized. Do you know what I mean? If it was like this big, like what they do sometimes with the third party.
Yeah, that would be hilarious, because you're right. There's no sense of how big this thing is.
No, not at all. I mean, I'm sure it's probably like, yeah, you're kind of, I can't even say, I don't even want to say the scale, because if you say legend scale, that means about 5 different scales over the years. So I would just say probably about yay big.
Deluxe scale, I would think.
That will do.
I would think deluxe scale.
Yeah, not leader class,
no,
but certainly a deluxe. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, that's pretty much that. Let's talk next then. I think we've got like a big batch of third party to get through, really, Pat, in today's weekly. So next up, we're talking Sky Eagle. Yes, the fans' hobby, VE01, definitely not a Skyhawk. Sky Eagle has been sneaking out some images of the first test shot, and it looks pretty dope. I'm not going to lie, this thing looks pretty cool. What are your thoughts, Pat, on this in general? I mean, we have talked about this.
Yeah,
we talked about like the early kind of reveal that they did. But what are your thoughts, given a bit more time to kind of remunerate over it?
I think either, again, this is one of the ones they're just trying to beat Hasbro to the punch, because there's, I think, practically no way that this isn't coming at some point in the classified series.
Yeah, it's like, gotta happen, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is a size that can easily be made and be good for classified. I'm going to get the feeling that maybe this one will be a little bit larger.
Yeah,
than what Hasbro will make, because there seems to be a lot of space in that cockpit.
Absolutely.
And maybe this one will actually look a little more retro than what the Hasbro one will. But judging from the Vamp has a ton of things on it that I just didn't expect to get.
Yeah.
Like details like, here's a fire extinguisher,
you
know, that make a lot of sense on the vehicle, and justify to me it being a larger scale than 3 3/4. And I don't really see a lot of that here. So if you're really excited for one, I do think that the light up features of this are pretty cool. And I don't expect that to be something that Hasbro does.
Yeah.
So if you love the Skyhawk enough that you think that eventually you're going to want 2, and you love this one, you know, go for it. But I don't think that I would be buying this thinking that I'll never get one from Hasbro.
That's the thing. I think I'm not sure if that like is something that kind of will affect fans' hobby or Hasbro more. Do you know what I mean? Like, will it be a case of people are expecting the classified one, so they're not going to go in for this, or will it be the case of, you know, people just want this stuff so much all the time that they just get it anyway and then sell it on the secondary after the fact? Because that seems to happen a lot in the Transformers third-party kind of world, doesn't it? Like, it's one of those things where people are like, oh, this is coming out, we're never going to get it from Hasbro, and then Hasbro release it, like, you know, the year later, and you're like, and people, you see it all over eBay, you see it like being, you know, them selling that first version, basically, don't you?
Yeah, because it does seem like a lot of times people want the official one, which is not exactly what I expected whenever that stuff first started being released.
Yeah.
For me, a lot of times the stuff that's unofficial doesn't have quite quite the same checks going on with it. A lot of times they are intended purely for collectors, and I mean, at local swaps, it was eye-opening for me whenever a lot of that stuff was, you know, for sale because the figure had snapped in half.
Right.
Or,
Yeah, a lot
and I
of
mean,
quality control issues and stuff, aren't there? Yeah.
yeah, because there's a lot of people that really like third party better, but third party is like an umbrella term that's not even accurate
Right.
necessarily. And there's a lot of different companies that are manufacturing it, and you know, some of them are better than others at
Yeah.
making stuff that's going to be better quality. So it's hard to say, oh, third party means good quality, because what really means is um,
Umbrella term for everything, basically,
yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
exactly, for all of the unofficial stuff. So yeah, this to me looks like somebody really put a lot of time into it, and that it looks like it's going to be a nice toy. And if you get it and you love it, good. But Hasbro's probably going to be making one.
Yeah. I mean, that's the crux of the situation, isn't it? And like I said, I'm not sure how it excuse me, I'm not sure who it affects more. And
Yeah,
like, would it be a case of like Hasbro? Well, I do think that if Hasbro did bring one out, that it would. I mean, it's got to be somewhat similar to this in its look. I
yeah,
mean, like it's not like the Skyhawk has a varied design range that they can really pull from. It is the Skyhawk has looked like the Skyhawk since day one, in all of its kind of like, versions, other than like when they do something like in the new Sculptor or something that is completely different. But like when it's reissued, and it's been reissued a number of times, it hasn't really varied from that kind of design. So it's going to look the same. It's going to be about the same size. The only thing it won't have probably are lights, because this is, as you can imagine, would be the same size as like, or the same price point size as the Vamp. So you're probably looking at something like 99.99. You're not going to get lights with it. You're not going to get all like bells and whistles, but you'll get like nice details like the Vamp had, like, your little like you said, the fire extinguisher, or some other little details they think of that could go in there. So it's difficult to say like what's going to be, but plus I think this is a bit more expensive too because of all those things. So this is going to be more expensive than a Hasbro version that comes out, almost certainly. So
hmm
I don't know. It's one of those things. Do you want to wait for it, or do you want it now? I guess is the answer for those people that are thinking about this. But it is difficult as well. Like there is that weird sort of thing where this is some sort of IP infringement. It is, at the end of the day, isn't it? It's intellectual property infringement. So it's one of those things where you're on one side, it's like this is cool, but on the other side, it's like I think that's why people want the official version, so that their moral compass isn't being affected in some sort of way. Maybe that's got something to do with it. Or do you think collectors don't really care about that necessarily?
You know, I've seen that all over the board, having collected Transformers for so long. I saw whenever there was somebody making bootlegs of Transformers, like just straight up bootlegs, and I saw people like on a message board saying that they were going to sell their official ones so that they could support the little guy. And it's like, that's just a weird statement to me. Like, we don't necessarily know that these are being made by the little guy. I mean, I
Right.
don't know who is doing this. Is part of the point, is you don't know. It
Yeah.
could be a passion project, or it could just be a company that says, hey, there's an opportunity to make some money, and so they do. I
Yeah.
really don't know. But yeah, it does put things in kind of a weird spot, and I've always wondered why Hasbro hasn't pressed the issue a little bit more. I think they just have some difficulty, since you're dealing with international law.
Right. That I think that's always the problem, isn't it? Because there was that big. I remember they did that big kind of like crackdown on Transformers bootleg stuff a
hmm
number of years ago now. It made the news. It was all over the place that they'd kind of like gone into factories and they'd shut some stuff down and all that kind of stuff. It's funny that hasn't happened since, like, or that has been like very widely known. There hasn't been a lot of that kind of crackdown for a while, and I wonder if it's one of those things where if it's not affecting their bottom line, they tend to just ignore it, and if it does affect their bottom line, they do tend to do something about it. Like I wonder where the line is for them, or where the balance is that tips that scale.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd heard that one of those crackdowns was also in conjunction with Lego, that the same factory was cranking out bootleg Lego stuff. So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and if I mean, I don't know where this stuff's happening. It could even be somebody that they have a relationship with. You know, like maybe your factory that's putting out Play School, maybe, you know, putting out your bootleg Transformers. So I really don't know. But yeah, it does put them in a weird spot. There also is the benefit of it, though, too. Like, because sometimes it does feel like Transformers have had to step up a bit, especially like the Masterpiece ones. It's like,
definitely.
well, you know, Sunstreaker already came out, so the Masterpiece Sunstreaker is going to have pop-up headlights, and it's going to be, you know, really off, like just completely in the clouds as far as all the details that it comes with. Because that thing is amazing.
Yeah,
Masterpiece Sunstreaker is outstanding.
It really is,
and I think that it does get pushed to be that way by the fact that they have to compete against their own IP because they haven't cracked down or managed to shut that down.
Tac Tac Toys has said that he thinks it's around $80 actually. This Sky Eagle. I wasn't aware of that actually. That's pretty. That's not bad actually, considering you're getting a few more things that you probably wouldn't get with the classified version. But if that's all speculative, and you like you say with Pat's comment there about upping their game based on what's happening in that third-party environment, or I say use the umbrella term, obviously in that sense. Then maybe they do include lights with it. We don't know that. We don't know what they're gonna, what's gonna change or what's gonna happen with that. So who knows? Anyway, Ed says I won't support bootlegs, but third party is supplemental in most cases. We might not get a Skyhawk for a few years. The thing with that, Ed, though, it's still technically IP theft because they aren't doing this officially. This is not like in league with Hasbro, so it doesn't make it like, it's not parody. Or it's not, something that Hasbro are never going to make. This is right in the wheelhouse of a classified vehicle that we could see at Pulse exclusive level. Do you know what I mean? This is up there with the Vamp, I think, in terms of a vehicle that we could get in the classified series.
Yeah, and it does bring up another point though, because a lot of times stuff that is listed as third party is literally supplemental, like it's just accessories or new feet for a toy. And in my opinion, whenever they're doing that with it on the Transformers end of things, they're supporting the brand. And we have seen that with G.I. Joe, like weapons and accessory packs to supplement the toys that are coming out. And if another company is going to put out stuff that makes you go, oh, I didn't like that on the Hasbro thing, but now I am going to buy the Hasbro one because I can buy that and it fixes the thing I didn't like,
right?
Or it enhances it in some way. And it's a little bit of a weird area because that to me is really supportive.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is kind of a weird spot, all this stuff.
It's weird, isn't it? And it's difficult where to draw the line as well. And Leon's made a good point here. It's hard to draw a line. At one end of the spectrum is custom action figureheads on Etsy, which they don't come after as it's regarded as custom hobby product. And also, Leon, with that, they're not shifting thousands, hundreds of thousands of units. That's the other thing you got to take into consideration here.
Mm-hmm.
If it affects the bottom line for Hasbro, then that I'm sure they would come after people if they were shifting heads at the kind of rate that would negate them bringing a character out or an update to a character. Then I'm sure they probably would crack down on them.
Yeah, a long time ago on eBay, they started cracking down on stuff. Like if you included the word bootleg or if you included the word knockoff, your listing would get taken down. And I think that that's actually where the phrase third party came from. It was the people listing stuff on eBay didn't want to have their stuff taken down, so they needed another phrase that would clue collectors in and be an easy search, but also wouldn't get you unlisted. And I remember one of the things that was a point of contention was custom stuff like you see on Etsy. And I can remember part of the discussion was, you know, how is it okay for somebody to be making like T-shirts or neckties or other things that infringe upon IP? And then somebody said, well, hang on, some of the stuff that's like that is made with fabric that I bought from Walmart. You know, like if there's Mickey Mouse fabric at Walmart, how is it not fair for me to make a shirt out of it or a neckerchief or something and sell it on Etsy? Because
I mean, they're literally giving you the opportunity to do that by selling that stuff at Michael's and those kind of places. And yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think a lot of times that handmade stuff is not the thing to worry about. But like I said earlier, we don't know if this is a passion project by a fan who's footing the bill and just wants it to happen, or that it's just a company that has decided that this is an opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Someone mentioned Gridiron as well. Chris, mentioned Gridiron, and that's a good shout as a company that supplements and doesn't kind of infringe. And it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we're going to make things in and around the collection that we haven't seen or probably won't see, like, you know, weight benches or like, you know, like extra gear that comes with it and stuff like that. So like, I kind of find that to be definitely a more positive sort of like supplemental. That probably does come under the term third party correctly, does it, Pat? Or would you say?
I've never liked the term third party. I mean, to be honest, I don't think that infringes in any way, because they're making their own product that just happens to supplement. Because you don't have to use that with G.I. Joe either. You know, you could use that with anything that you feel like using it for. I mean, put it on your Star Wars figures too, if you like. Whatever you want to do. I don't think that infringes in any way, but it does for sure supplement. For sure, there are times that that there's been some figures that people haven't liked, and so they've bought them. It's, you know, in the comments like that. I think that's great that somebody is putting the energy into doing that. I like what Gridiron does.
Definitely. Yeah, okay, cool. So that is the longest chat we'll ever have on on the Sky Eagle, I imagine. That all aside, it is pretty cool. They've done a really cool job on this, and it looks beautiful, and you know, it's just gorgeous to look at, and I can't wait to see it kind of all painted up. And like, well, you know, how it's supposed to be and all the lights and everything. I think it's going to be a very cool thing to check out when it's actually completed. So even though we've got a, you know, there is an element of us, you know, discussing the moral implications, the IP infringement, all that kind of stuff, it's still pretty dope. So yeah, there you go. We are terrible moral people to be doing this. Next up then, we are going to delve into, I can't see what that is. What is that, Pat? Okay. Images.
I don't have it open.
It's fine. Don't worry. I know what it is. We're talking classified Tripwire and Roadblock next. Let's get into it. Yes, so the Tiger Force Roadblock and Tripwire 2-pack, the Target exclusive, I should say, is now in hand for a few collectors, including Luke Poulon, who sent us these images the other day. Thank you very much, Luke. We really appreciate that. And there's, yeah, I just thought it'd be nice, good idea, Pat, seeing as this is new and out, to have a look at some of the little details in Luke's images. First off, what are your thoughts on these two in general before we move on?
They both look great. I think that choosing to put them in a 2-pack was a good idea, because I think that some of this Tiger Force stuff has kind of lingered a little bit too long on the pegs. So getting them all in one pack, it also eliminates some frustration of walking in and being like, well, Roadblock's here. I know that Tripwire wasn't, or the other way around.
Right. Yeah.
So it's nice to see them coming out and finishing that team, or helping to finish the team. Tiger Force is a very big subset.
It really is. Is it the biggest?
I think it must be, because over the years, as the G.I. Joe's been in other formats, they just keep on adding characters to the roster. Yeah. And it was big to begin with. It was probably bigger than any other sub team just from the vintage line.
Yeah, definitely. So obviously Lifeline springs to mind as someone we haven't had yet. Frostbite, obviously, for lots of reasons. But yeah, there's a ton of, I think, still left to go. And yeah, like you say, the ones that they've added later on after that, even the club added some characters into it, and now Super 7 have added characters into the sub team.
Yeah.
Officially, I will say, because obviously Tiger Force Snake Eyes was sort of a, was that a Black Major Red Laser sort of release? I can't remember. I think it was Black Major.
That was a Black Major release. Yeah, and the only ones that are still not done are Frostbite, Lifeline, and Sky Striker from the original set.
Oh, Sky Striker would be a good one for some sort of HasLab edition, maybe down the road in the future. If we got some sort of, I don't know, X30 Conquest or a what else could we get in the HasLab that would be?
I don't know, maybe a Rattler. So the body of him is available.
Perfect. The body, we'd get Thunder out of it, and we'd get reuse out of the tooling for what's coming out obviously next week.
Right.
Amazing. Okay, TF Roadblock and Tripwire then. Luke's images. Thank you very much again, Luke, for these. This is great. So we've got in box, obviously, or actually technically out of box, but still in plastic shell with the card wrapped around it still. Interestingly, Luke didn't send me an image of the boxed figures, which is fine, but I can't remember what the artwork even looked like now. I'm sure it was pretty cool. So we have Roadblock and Tripwire with, I would say for Tripwire, obviously minimized amount of stuff. He doesn't have his secondaries. He doesn't have Apsara, but he does have McLeod. So I am ever so slightly happy that they did include that with Tripwire. And Roadblock is effectively the heavy artillery Roadblock, but with his Marduce finally, which is really cool. And that obviously was pre-done in this set here, the Action Soldier. So I do have his gun. I just don't have the figure in hand yet, Pat, which is a shame. But there you go. Now, these are all the accessories that we get with both figures. And we do get that backpack with Roadblock, which I don't know where that's from, Pat. Do you know where that backpack's from?
I don't. That's not from the...
Is it from Heavy Artillery Roadblock? I can't remember.
You know what? Maybe it is.
Roadblock. So here's... No, Heavy Artillery Roadblock doesn't come with a backpack. So it's got to be... Who's that backpack from? Someone tell me in the comments, please, because I can't remember. I genuinely can't remember where that backpack's from. That's going to drive me insane. I don't think it wasn't specially done. It's been done before, right? Maybe it's the... Why can't I think of whose backpack that is? Someone will let us know in the comments. It's new. Is it? I didn't know that was a new backpack. I feel really silly if that isn't. Everyone's saying they think it's new. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Fair enough. All right, sweet. Move on. Oh, Saw Viper, which is not out yet. Thank you, Chris G. So it's a pre-job. Kitty
Well, that's
said.
pretty nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, I didn't know that. And of course, you can see what comes with Tripwire. Are you sad that Apsara isn't included here, Pat?
I kind of am. I see probably the thought process of why they didn't include him. There's probably quite a lot of cost went into just painting him. So as far as reducing the cost of the set, yeah, because I mean, are you going to repaint Apsara for a Tiger Force set? He definitely would have been silly to have repainted.
Now, no, it wouldn't. It would have been awesome. Amazing.
Yeah,
in the yellow and the stripes.
What?
The yellow and the stripes and the little, give him an even bigger mouth. How much fun would that be?
I think that kids would be very confused by that.
Yeah, we all would, and we're all kids. I'm gonna.
I guess he does have like that little jacket vest thing on, or whatever it is. That could have been made a different color.
There you go. Now you're thinking outside the box. No, this is what I think it should have looked like.
Right.
Red harness, and of course, make them look at the mouth and the eyes. That's genius. That's what Apsara should look like. 100%. Anyway, Tiger Rat name is taken. Is it?
Oh yeah. That's the
Oh, Transformers, is it?
no. The Tiger Rat isn't that the Rattler repaint?
Yeah, but oh, I see what you mean. Sorry, I was confused because I assumed when someone said Tiger Rat, they were talking about the Rattler, and I'm like, well, we have it. That's the that I
Oh
thought that's
yeah,
what was being
Apsara can't
discussed.
be the Tiger Rat.
Oh, I see. But Apsara can't be the Tiger Rat. I see. I get it now. Yeah. Anyway, that would be it'd be fun if she came with the Tiger Rat. Actually, that would be amazing. Let's do that. That said, Apsara does exist, so you can always put the Apsara that you got with Tripwire in with this one if you want to. So there you go, sorted. Anyway, this is the close up of the backpack. I didn't realize this was new or tooled for or pre-painted for Saw Viper. I was not aware of that. I don't know why or how I missed that information, but I have done at some point. But it looks pretty cool. I like the handle as well, so you can have like the option of display with him holding the backpack sort of like a on the floor or on like a by his side or what have you. So that's pretty cool too. And I like the little chef that they've added on there as well. That's kind of cute too. It's a little on the nose. I don't know what else they could have put on there, but I suppose it fits nicely and it works.
Yeah, I mean, maybe is that a spot where a Cobra logo will go later?
Could be. I'm gonna have to look at the render now just to kind of see if there's a nice clear image of that backpack in the render. But yeah, having said that's the backpack. And then of course you got the Mardus with a little Tiger Force logo in it. And I like that they're putting Tiger Force logos on stuff. I've got to admit that's dope. Oh, Pat, what I should have asked you ages ago as I go through my pictures. Did you enjoy Joe Fest?
I did, yeah. It was a lot of fun. That's off the topic of Roadblock and Tripwire. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got to meet a lot of people. I actually kind of felt like I didn't have enough time. Yeah, so it's just blank on on Saw Viper.
Nothing on the Saw Viper one that we can see currently, but just to kind of do that, yeah. And we'll have shout outs to talk about Joe Fest as well, of course. But still, I forgot. I feel really bad for not asking how it was at the start of the episode. Anyway, yeah. So that's the Mardus. Now, what Luke did mention is that the bullets don't fit completely lengthways in that kind of like, I suppose, like in that feed. So there was that he wanted to mention that they there's a bit of space there. I don't think it really matters. They still fit in there, so they still work.
Are those aren't the same bullets then that were included with the
No, it doesn't look like it.
Yeah, so I'm guessing those are the Saw Viper bullets, is that right?
Could very well be.
No, they're not. Well, maybe they are.
So these are the bullets in the action. Where are we on this side? Where are we? There we are. These are the bullets, the bullet belt on the action soldier. And I think they're still not thick enough to fit the gap in the gun. So it could be that they are the same bullet belt on this one.
Yeah, but is there a peg in the end of it? Because the peg goes into the backpack. That's why I was expecting that to come with Saw Viper, but then I'm looking at the Saw Viper render and it doesn't have that peg on it, and the belt is a completely different shape. It's kind of like
belt. Actually, the belt is completely different to the one that the action soldier comes with, so it might be it might be one of the rock and roll belts. It might be one of the rock and roll belts
with a peg at the end.
I think it does have a peg in the end. Yeah, hang on, let me just grab rock and roll. Where are you, rock and roll? Yeah, it does have a peg on the end, but it's longer. I think it's rock and roll's bullet belt, mate.
Okay.
It looks like rock and rolls. Anyway, Chris says those bullets are 7.76, not 50 cal. Thank you for that bit of detail. I think that's what the most of the complaints were on that particular aspect. Maybe all Saw Vipers are chefs, says Ryan. That's a good point. Anyway. Chris, did you see what I posted about Cobra Night Raven that I'm printing out? The two parts of it that I'm printing out can now take up to 3 days to print out just one part. Ouch. That's insane. Anyway, coming back to this, it's rock and roll. Yeah, I thought it was rock and roll. Yeah, it's like looking at rock and roll's bullet belt in his gun at the moment, right next to me. It looks exactly the same as what you get there. So I imagine Saw Viper has a different sort of bullet belt, and maybe, and well, the Action Soldier definitely has a different bullet belt. So there you go. Anyway, anywho, why have I gone back to that? Oh yeah, I'd gone backwards, hadn't I? There is McLeod. I love the fact they did that little extra deco. That's amazing. Are you happy that McLeod's in there, Pat? You know the answer. There's only one correct answer to this.
Oh no, it's definitely a good thing that they included McLeod.
I thought we were going to have a massive fallout then at that point of like, what do you mean you don't want McLeod? It's just a little bit too close to home.
The name of it probably needs to be Tiger McLeod, though, right?
Yeah, it does. It needs to be a Tiger McLeod. I still can't believe my favorite sub team and my name is attached to it now. That's nuts.
Oh yeah,
that's nuts. Anyway, unofficially, I should say. Sorry. And there he is on the other side. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Now, Roadblock himself here, Pat. Do you like the camo they've gone with on this?
It's okay. I don't know. I may be too much of a purist when it comes to Tiger Force. It's all right. They've definitely tried to steer a little bit of a different direction on each of their Tiger Force releases. Probably the one that I really wasn't crazy about was Flint for some reason.
Yeah, because of the eyes and the
yeah, that to me was just a little odd. But you know, I see what they're doing, and if you don't like it, just swap the head on Roadblock. You should be fine, right?
Yeah, totally. There's plenty of Roadblocks out there to use, aren't there?
Yeah.
And what about in that case, Pat? What about the tiger stripe pattern? Considering like the purist comment you just made there, it's obviously very different, or goes a little bit further away from the original Tiger Force deco.
It is. I would like to see how it fits in with the rest of the classified series Tiger Force before I say for sure, because once they pick a design for a sub team, I like to see it stay consistent, because it just drives me a little crazy whenever you get a team together and the idea is to have a cohesive color to them, and then if it's not, you know, and that goes for even just the shades of things, like that shade of yellow, you know, changes 2 years from now. Whenever they make more characters, it will just be like, why?
Yeah, no, I definitely get that. The Tampo should have been Chris's face. Thanks, Luke. It should have been named Tiger Notpicard, says Trav.
Okay.
What would NOTPICARD relate to? Like, what would that?
I'll let somebody else figure that out. I don't
know. That's amazing. Nuclear. Anyway, yeah, I'll stop there. If Hasbro trademarked it, is your name now an infringement? Yes, Leon, it is. Thankfully, they spelt it ever so slightly different. They spelt it the original McLeod way, MACLEOD. So I can still utilize my name as parody. Amazing. Right, just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Tiger McLeod sounds like a cartoon stunt pilot from 1991. Yes, he does, Ryan. That's amazing. They should have added yellow stripes to his face, says RKW. That would have been absolutely awesome. But yeah, I agree with that one. The helmet camo is not Tiger Force for me, says Leon. Yeah, let's look at that. It seems to be just, you know, what they've done is they've put one tiger stripe across it.
Yeah.
And then they've done other bits that would just be black, you know, against the yellow to color break it. But as you can see, it looks like there's only that one stripe that kind of cuts across the front, kind of like top there, goes across the middle line. So what are your thoughts on that one, Pat?
Yeah, maybe they felt like with all the other details on there that it would have been too much to have had a lot of stripes. But yeah, I could actually use some more on there as well. I'm going to agree.
I think I would have gone away from doing the breaks, like take all the black off and then just do tiger stripes. So it's all yellow, even though there's like details on there that probably should be a different color. I would have just kept it all yellow and just had the tiger stripes, and that'd be the main feature. But I don't know. I agree with that. I think that the helmet should definitely be very much like that original one, that is just like bright yellow with the tiger stripes on it.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree.
And then we have this is a good shot of the pattern on Tripwire's kind of like armor here. One thing I would say is there's a little bit of negative space in there that I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, it is a little bit not separated out. I think that maybe I need to look at some actual tigers to decide, if that makes sense to me. Is there any
road trip?
I'm not going to go on a road trip to go look at some tigers.
Come on, Pat. We'll go to Africa or something, or India, and look at some tigers.
I don't think we'll find any tigers in Africa.
We'll go to India then, where they actually have them, and we can look at the tiger stripes on those.
Maybe there's a zoo in Africa that's brought some in.
That is why I switched to India almost immediately. But yeah, that's amazing. Yeah,
no, I don't know. Is there a tiger that actually has these colors anyway?
Not the colors. I'm sure the pattern exists like that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't think there's any. I don't think there'd be a bit of red and black in there. That'd be kind of cool though, wouldn't it?
On a yellow, like a bright yellow
yellow tiger. Yeah, that would be sweet. Anyway, that's Tripwire. Still, he looks really good. I do love this deco on him. I think it really sharp. Looks really sharp. Roadblock looks dope as well, all geared up, as does Tripwire. And yeah, just a solid little 2-pack there, I think. And I can't wait to get this one in hand, even though I annoyingly did not pre-order them. So I was kind of thinking to myself, these will be in Target at some point, or be on Target online when they come into stock or what have you. And then I just keep thinking, well, maybe they don't, because I have had problems randomly with some sets and figures, because obviously I had that period of time where I wasn't picking anything up and was having to catch up a little bit. And it turns out that Shadow Tracker became a very difficult figure to kind of acquire. So I'm just hoping that it doesn't kind of go the same way with these two. But, we'll see.
We're talking Target exclusive, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're going to have a problem. Target exclusives have a tendency to just have a problem anyway. So just pretend that you did pre-order it and that they canceled it.
Done. Done. Right then, let's move on to the next bit, which is a kind of like the next section is a bit of a classified menagerie to kind of catch up on. Lots of different stories here. Let's do it. So we've got SDCC panel information, we've got Walmart CollectorCon, we've got a live stream on the day of the SDCC panel that's kicking off in the morning as well. There's lots of stuff to get stuck into here. And of course, Pat, I haven't really spoken to you about this, but there's also a little bit of conversation here as to a couple of weeks' time what that HasLab will be. I think it's pretty obvious, but I still think it's worth us having a chat about it. So let's start then with the kind of fan stream that was revealed yesterday. Now that is kicking off on the morning of the SDCC panel. So this will happen on the 25th at 11 a.m. and this will effectively be the reveal of, I imagine, the HasLab, the other pre-orders, other figures to show off, other bits and pieces, and then I imagine the panel later will just be looking at those again, promo images and all that kind of good stuff, and the actual pre-orders going live and what have you. So this is a new thing for them, and I wanted to get your idea as to what you thought about this as a maneuver. Is this overkill for the 25th?
Maybe not, because there's going to be a news push from all of the channels outside of what Hasbro is doing.
Yeah.
And a push from the not the usual channels. Obviously, you're going to report on it no matter what day.
Of course.
You know,
They reveal a pair of braces with GI Joe on it, and I do a news burst. So
right. But you could end up with like your USA Today's or something
right,
giving a mention. So maybe front loading that with a bunch of stuff that they can't really fit into
mm,
other things. Maybe that makes a lot of sense. And maybe it gives them the opportunity to give a better direct explanation of things to collectors so that
that's
there's not
true.
any confusion.
That's true. All of the kind of like basic details of everything that
Yeah.
sometimes get missed when you're doing a live panel. I totally agree with that. What is funny is that the panel's at like 8 p.m. our time. So it's like I'm kind of glad this is happening because then I'll be able to do the episode like earlier in the night and then watch that and then do the weekly after the fact or something. Or maybe sorry, on Friday, do like another burst where we cover anything that was missed in the fan stream.
Basically,
But
you'll just make it into a straight 24 hours. Then.
oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to be streaming for 3 days straight. Just
whenever they're not on, you're going to be on.
Yeah, and then you can join whenever you want, Pat. In that situation, you can just jump on when you feel like it, or when you get a spare 5 minutes. And yeah, that'd be great. Actually, joining us live from is our Hasbro correspondent, Patrick Notpicard Stewart. How are you doing, Pat? That kind of thing, right?
Well, speaking of correspondence, I'm hoping that Philip will be streaming this again, and then maybe this is my opportunity to beg for subscribers at Articulated Points, because as I mentioned to you, and I didn't live stream from Joe Fest. I planned to, but then I didn't. But
it's difficult at conventions, though.
It is, and I haven't done it before, and I was nervous about it. It probably is best that I didn't. Philip is definitely our more experienced live streamer.
That means he's older.
Well, yeah, he's not. Unfortunately, I'm the one of the two of us that's gray.
Oh.
But no, it's there's a thing that happened last time Philip was live streaming at San Diego Comic-Con, and that was that we were getting comments from people being like, hey, I'm here and it says that I'm in a waiting room. I can't actually see the stream. And what it is that YouTube will limit how many people can watch if you don't have enough subscribers. So we need 1,000 subscribers in order to have it be unlimited. And how many subscribers are we at over on Articulated Points? It's something ridiculously close to 1,000 subscribers.
I can tell you right now. I say right now. I can tell you in a few moments.
If it loads, it'll tell me. 971.
965 I've got here.
It's, oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I was looking at views. It is 965. So
that's
amazing. We need another 35 people to just subscribe, and then it'll be unlimited.
How was it, Pat? That the even though you got the wrong subscriber count, it was dangerously close.
Well, because I had looked not that long ago. So
okay.
Yeah, it's I knew that we were somewhere around 30 or 40 people that we needed in order to break that threshold to hopefully make it so that they unlock that, because it's not like it automatically unlocks at 1,000. I think there's an approval process. So hopefully we would hit that prior to. And I think is there a link in the descriptions?
Yeah, I was just about to say, Pedro's asked for a link, but there's one in the description every single time we do this. So go in the description, go find Articulated Points YouTube channel and go and subscribe. Thank you. In actual fact, if we can get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of this episode, we'll make a big point of it, and then we'll break the news that will be an unlimited viewing pleasure situation for anyone that wants to watch the live stream on SDCC, which will be, again, like Phil will be running that, and it's great. He always does a great job with it. So yeah, thanks, Phil. Right then, we're not at shout outs yet, Pat, but hopefully by the time we get to shout outs, you guys will be at 1,000 subs, and how awesome will that be?
That would be awesome. Yeah,
I might just create a bunch of fake accounts and subscribe. And then that gets found out, and we'll get shut down, and yeah, never come back again. I won't do that. Right. Travis has also put the link in the comments. Thank you, Travis. Appreciate that. Pedro says I subscribed a long time ago. Thank you, Pedro. Appreciate that. A Punk with Toy says if you don't have 1,000 by Monday, I'll make sure you have 1,000 by Monday night.
I
Nice one.
appreciate that. There is an approval process, so I'm hoping that we hit 1,000, and then YouTube actually follows through with unlocking that prior to SDCC is my hope.
Dude, you're getting some subscribers already. We've got
Oh, thank you very much. I
quite
really
a few
appreciate it.
people have jumped on already. This is great. Thank you, guys. How come when I ask you to subscribe to Articulated Points, no one does it? But when Pat asks, everyone does it. What's that about? Just kidding. Right. They just think I'm being disingenuous, probably. And that's what it is. So anyway, there will be a live stream at 11 a.m. Eastern on the morning of the actual panel, which happens in the evening. So we'll have a whole section of the middle of the day where we might be going, oh, I can't wait to see that on the the show floor, because I'm sure they'll be doing a lot of that as well, a lot of showing off.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Are you excited? Well, I know there's a bit of a disconnect with Classified sometimes, Pat, but are you excited to see what they've got in store with the HasLabs and with everything else?
I actually am. Yes, I'm looking forward to everything SDCC. I'm also looking forward to Super Sevens stuff.
Yeah, totally. We didn't really get a chance to speak about that because that was a few weeks ago. But some of their reveals were pretty cool. Like the Cobra Mortal Ultimates figure looks really sexy. What else was in there? There was a Snake Eyes kind of like grayscale in reaction,
Yeah.
and there's the Zartan with the robe from Jungle Trap. Any of those tickling your fancy?
I'm probably not going to get the Zartan, but the other two, yeah, eventually I'm going to get those.
I will say though that it is color change, so it was nice to know that they still
is.
Yes, so they're still keeping the color change aspect.
The color change on that works really well. Like that's a lot of fun. If you enjoyed having a color change Zartan as a kid and none of the other ones have kind of worked for you as far as having that experience of going outside and it changing again.
Yeah.
The Super 7 one, the function of that is really good. I was able to pull it out and it turned color almost instantly. So you're able to watch it happen, then put it back under, in my coat that I had on at the time.
Yeah.
It was spring. And then it went back to normal and then pulled it out again and did it. You could do it several times.
That's crazy.
Outside. It's really nice.
That's
it
awesome.
Changes in 10 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that.
You're now beyond the fake number of subscribers you called out earlier, Pat, by the way. You're at 977 now.
Oh, nice.
Getting there. If we can get to 1,000 before the end of the show, that would be amazing. The panel needs to start with Falcon's head sculpt, says Leon. Travis says now they can put the HasLab Terradrome on the SDCC floor without spoilers. Hilarious. Don't know how I missed doing it, but just subscribe to Articulated Points, says Jack Knight 73. Chucky Tinderbin says we're afraid of making Pat angry. That's why. I like it. Max says, like the stream, sub to Articulated Points, homework for the class. Absolutely. Chris G is subscribed. Josh F is subscribed. This is good. This is really, really good. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I really do appreciate the support. I really do. Thank you.
Hydrus just subscribed, which means that you might have another subscriber there. Let me just double check. I like to see this as it happens. Then again, YouTube is a bit funny about updating, isn't it? Okay, cool. Awesome. We'll keep an eye on that before the end of the show. Hopefully we'll check out in the shout outs one more time. Right, now, as well as that, we've got this little poster posted by Hasbro that says I want you, with the Regal Cobra Commander, and a couple of call outs, Pat, to maybe hint at possibly what's to come for the HasLab here. Now, there's been a lot of hints, there's been a lot of kind of speculation, and I would say pretty obvious that we're dealing with the Rattler here, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt.
Sorry, I went a bit too far then. I mean, you've got, we'll be looking at some of the little call outs on this particular post as well. But B-Max said join the Cobra Air Force when he posted this. You've got the logo on there, the kind of the Air Force logo, and you've got launch being utilized in the wording very often. So there's a very strong feeling here that it's going to be the Rattler. We'll get on to what we think the tiers could be, actually, Pat. That's something we can talk about in a second. But before that, it's always something good to know here that if you haven't been on Pulse for a while, you might want to go check out the new site, because you'll have to re-log in. you'll have to change your password, and if you've got any saved payment methods, you might that they are no longer on there anymore. So you'll have to add a payment method. If you want a speedy checkout, which, to be honest, for most of the time when you're on Hasbro Pulse and you're utilizing Hasbro Pulse, speedy checkout is the reason you get something or don't get something. So it's always good to make sure that you're all sorted on Hasbro Pulse. They've had a whole sexy makeover, Pat, and it was down for a couple of days. And I was a bit upset because someone said, "Oh, Tripwire and Roadblock are back up on Pulse," and I went up to have a look on Pulse, and it was down at the moment. I'm like, son of a bee. So when it came back up, I missed it anyway. But what I should say, Pat, have you updated all your info?
I have not. I was really happy to see that they had done that, though, because I've had some problems with Pulse in the past. Like my credit card had just expired. It was time. It expired. So I got my new one. I went in there and I updated it, and then they canceled my pre-orders anyway. So frustrating.
I shouldn't laugh. I shouldn't laugh, but that sucks.
Well, the funny part of it was I had pre-ordered that bridge set of 3 Transformers because there was like an updated Megatron in there, and he looked really cool. So they canceled it. That was frustrating. I went on the site, and it's like, oh, but it's in stock. So no harm, no foul, right?
Right.
And it's like, but I don't want to order it right now because I've got some other bills. It's just not time, and hopefully it'll still be available.
Yeah.
Like 2 days later, oh, we're doing another update of Megatron. And it's just like, okay, you just saved me some money because, so very frustrated on the updates, the frequent updates front. But it is nice to see that they're addressing this, because this, to me, has been my biggest issue with Pulse, is the frustration of going back through old orders, trying to find, okay, like if you cancel something, it'll say partially fulfilled. If you cancel one thing, like, well, is something else going to be billed? I don't know. It's been, especially with the return policy that they have, it's not easy to get things back to them. And sometimes I've accidentally ordered stuff and gotten things I already had. I've had a lot of frustration with their page of my pre-orders.
Yeah, that does suck. And I would say that I definitely feel, and Paul has mentioned it here as well, Plastic Battles, as a UX designer, they've really done an amazing job updating the look and feel and usability of the site. I must admit, when it came to the orders section and the fact they don't have what your order is in broad daylight on that first page, really is a confusing thing to me. Like, why is it why can't I look at my orders on one page and have those images of what those figures are, rather than an order number and view details? And then you're like, well, I don't know what it is, so I view the details, and then it's like, oh, that's what that is, and you come back out of it and you don't know which one you've clicked on because they all look the same. So that one I was having trouble with. I wasn't really enjoying that sort of that experience. It's really they made it quite difficult to kind of keep a track on what you're actually doing, what you're actually ordering. So I'm glad that they've kind of they've done something to alleviate some of that stress. Chucky Tinderbin says network exclusive. Let's not get talking about that again, because I seem to talk about the network quite a lot recently, just as a nostalgic throwback to when shout out to Bill Nedrow accidentally ordered 11 Cobra Commanders. Do you remember that?
I do.
Why does that never get old? Why do I laugh at that every single time? I don't know.
Well, that's probably the best extreme case of how frustrating that experience was for most people. For me, it wasn't frustrating at all, if you'll recall, because I saw you guys chatting about it and furious, and I was sitting in a drive-through about to buy some hot dogs. And was like, oh, it's available. And I clicked on it. There it was. I clicked purchase. It was easy. I was fine.
I can't believe you were multitasking with hot dogs at the same time.
It was no problem for me
Oh
whatsoever.
my God.
And the previous things that I'd bought from there were no problem. And I actually kind of enjoyed the experience of buying like the Ghostbusters Optimus Prime from there. It was easy.
Oh my goodness. That's hilarious. We were having such a time. I was in bed just trying to order things, and it just wasn't making any sense. And like I wasn't getting any kind of like response back. And I was like, okay, this is weird. And then, yeah, lo and behold, I got an email about 3 hours later saying, here's your order confirmation. I'm like, what the crap? That was hilarious. And then the fact everyone thought we were getting the Regal Cobra Commander, and it turned out we were getting the basic Cobra, the first Cobra Commander. And the first Cobra Commander, there were like 20 of them on a peg everywhere. So it's not like it was difficult to get hold of. That was just the worst, wasn't it? Absolutely hilarious. Anyway, that's the network. This is not Hasbro Pulse. As well as all of that, we do have a brand panel to talk about, Pat. Thursday, 25th of July. We've kind of discussed it a little bit already, but they're going to present, a development team are going to present a live launch of the new classified series HasLab. This behind the scenes look will also feature new product news, including never before heard stories, digital character renders, in-hand figure prototypes, pre-order launches, and more. So I expect it's going to effectively be most of the same stuff we've heard in the live stream already in that day. But do you think maybe they'll hold out for the HasLab until this particular panel? Do you think they'll split it up like that? Do you think we'll have the pre-orders launch and all that kind of stuff in the live stream, and then they'll save the HasLab for the panel reveal?
I could see them giving us some more obvious hints earlier in the day, like,
yeah,
that's what it's good. Here's a silhouette of what it's going to be. And there will be the silhouette of Tiger Force Apsara, of course, because that's the HasLab.
Could you imagine that? Tiger Force Apsara is the HasLab. That size, $800. They need 50,000 backers. Okay, cool. That math works out on that, I think, pretty much.
Yeah, of course.
Amazing. Yeah, I could see them splitting it up so we get some different things in both, or maybe it'll be a case of they're just showing stuff off for the Joe one.
Maybe the prototypes that they show we'll only see on a screen, and then we'll actually see them playing with the figures.
Yeah,
up close.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I'd also, this might be being a bit greedy, but do you think we're going to get name only and digital renders in both, or do you think we'll just get one section of those?
No, I kind of think that they may spread those across the two.
That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? That would be kind of fun.
And hopefully they're not spoiled the night before.
Well, I mean, let's face it. We're gonna get leaks for this stuff. We've already, and it's funny that we kind of got away with the SDCC exclusive, the Once a Man Cobra Commander, mainly because they officially revealed it early. So that is one of the reasons I think we got away with any leaks for that. And I say got away with leaks, but there was one ever so slight leak 5 minutes before, because that weird like site, well, it was IGN anyway, but their site had kind of automatically posted one image 19 times, and they hadn't finished putting the article together, so that went up first, and that's why everyone had that one image, and then the rest of it kind of came out. But anyway, it will be cool to see if they do different things in both panels. I would be well up for that. And like I said before, Pat, we have very obvious call outs here to the Rattler. We have the Air Force logo, which has been, again, an ongoing hint. We had BMAC wearing this t-shirt in the last live stream during Yojo June. We had, obviously, like I said, when he posted this image, he said, join the Cobra Air Force. It's not going to be anything else, is it?
No, I can't imagine. I mean, that logo is used on other Cobra Air stuff. That's why I've seen people say the Terradrome, but that has to be jokingly, because Terradrome's not pie in the sky. It's like pie in space. Like, that's not something that's going to happen. I don't think that I have space for a Terradrome.
Pie in Space sounds like an amazing comic that I really want to read that. That sounds great. Just following the adventures of a pie floating in space. That would be so good. In actual fact, you've given me an idea to maybe do a comic based on that. That's genius. Star Brigade pie confirmed, guys. Classified Star Brigade pie has been confirmed. Amazing. Just a really expensive fire bat, says Jeff. Do you reckon?
Nah, there's Firebat's on the list. That Firebat's Skyhawk scale kind of.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Pie and Void Rivals, says Yorktown Joe. Yeah, it is a little bit.
it is.
Right, now let's talk then. Well, here's a couple of other little things I need to highlight. So obviously on the post by Hasbro Pulse, launch was utilized. And yeah, that is a standard term to use when discussing product campaigns and all that kind of stuff. So it's not, it's not crazy to assume that might have just been a coincidence, but also probably not. G.I. Joe classified series, and G.I. Joe classified all in the tag, so we know it's a classified situation here.
They're not going to do 3 3/4. That's not going to.
I mean, that's Super 7's wheelhouse now, isn't it? Let's face it.
It is, and that's the only HasLab that seems to be kind of like you could just pick it up from another person at the cost of it.
Right.
So
right.
I think that there'd be some trepidation of anybody who's speculating on a 3 3/4 HasLab. It's going to definitely the resale price of that's going to put a dent in their ability to do a 3 3/4 one. So
yeah,
this is not going to happen. They've done well with a 6-inch, and that's what's going to be. That's what this is.
Yeah. And then of course, G.I. Joe HasLab. This is just a graphic that I probably should have taken out. But the Rattler, let's face it, is going to happen. Now, what do you think, Pat? We know sort of what we're kind of dealing with here, but sort of in a sense with a classified scale version of this, what features do you think they're going to implement on the actual vehicle itself? Do you think it's going to effectively be what we've seen features wise on the reissues, on the original? Were they going to add anything? What do you think you could see happening with this vehicle?
A whole lot. Obviously, there's a lot of the size of this is just kind of parts extending. It's not like the bulk of the plane is the entire area. You know what I mean? They're like, I can see how this can exist because the main body of the plane isn't that big. It's just the fact that it has wings and then there's engines on them. So I can kind of see how this fits within the HasLab plan. But yeah, I don't know. I am a little bit scared about how big this is going to be once it's assembled. Like, I think that this is going to be more of a hang from a ceiling, like
a strong ceiling.
On a shelf, it's going to be tough because maybe they will have a support similar. They most definitely will have a support similar to the Dragonfly.
Yeah,
like that clear thing that'll make it so that it can look like it's diving.
Yeah,
and that'll probably be how most people have to put it on a shelf because the wings are going to stretch out pretty far for this.
It's gonna, I think I agree with that. I think they can probably, it's probably the one Cobra jet that they can mitigate the size a little bit with just the kind of design and the style of the jet, being that kind of A10 sort of more stumpier kind of size. But then when you look at when you look at the fact that it's still going to have a big wingspan, it's still going to have a decent amount of length to it. This thing is going to be a beast. I think it's going to be bigger than the Dragonfly. So in terms of length as well. So this is going to be the next step up, I think, in terms of HasLab size. Do you think that will affect the price in any way, shape, or form?
I'm going to go with yes.
Where do you think it's going to land in terms of, pun intended, where do you think it's going to land in terms of price?
What was the Dragonfly?
274.99.
Really, man, that still seems like it would have been more than that.
It's mental, isn't it? I remember when that came out, and I was just like, I was willing at that point to drop about 350 on the.
See, I was going to say that I would expect this to be about 350. You're going to have a little bit of a boom in sales, I think, just from it being Cobra.
Yeah,
I think the amongst kid collectors, G.I. Joe was the seller, but I think among adult collectors, at that point, a lot of people are going for the Cobra stuff.
Yeah, everyone's turned into villains. Yeah, totally.
Right, we turn into villains as we get older. So yeah, I kind of think that that's going to be a help to them, and that there's a chance that they could get more from us. The $400 or $500 Cantina just funded, so they may actually want the G.I. Joe stuff creeping closer to that higher price point. It does. I don't know. The way the math shakes down on some of these HasLabs doesn't seem to be the same to me as what it would be at retail.
Shakes down, was that a pun?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I feel shaken down sometimes.
I could just imagine that's just me and you flying past each other with no cockpit left, giving it that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's going to be 350. I know a lot of people were kind of like worried that it was going to be a lot more expensive. I can see them genuinely keeping it close to that 300 mark, because I just have a feeling they have got like a balance in the way that they're doing the budget for the entire line. I feel that their aim is to keep it within that sphere of price, because if it gets too expensive, I think that's where they're going to start seeing a drop off. And I think 300 is the best case scenario, or 299 is the best case scenario. I think 350 would be the worst case scenario. I think it's going to be possibly in between those two if it's going to be more than the HISS tank. So that's where I feel it's probably going to land.
Yeah, I'll just say that I'm expecting 350.
Okay.
I mean, I do think that with G.I. Joe, they get the benefit of people buying multiples.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So I mean, they could hurt that as they raise the price.
They could keep the price lower and raise the backer amount, can they?
Yeah, they probably could. That's true. I don't know that I'd want to see that, because the Cantina just did not hit all of its stretch goals, which was frustrating. And you know, the stretch goals are part of the backer count. You know, that plays into the math for them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So there's definitely some parts of the Cantina campaign that made me wonder what kind of precedent they were setting, because they said that some of the stretch goals were figures that were, I think it was the stretch goals they said were only going to be, they were only promising unique cards. They weren't promising that those figures would never
be made. Released. Yeah, that's an interesting way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that G.I. Joe will go that way, because there's just so many repaint options for G.I. Joe compared to Star Wars that I'm expecting there to be some unique figures. And that's probably the part that I'm looking forward to the most, is the figures from this, because I really thought that what the Dragonfly offered was a step up from the HISS tank in that regard.
Yeah, yeah. Eben says last year Lenny said he does not want to go over that 300 mark, so my guess is 29999. The HISS tank was the same, 8,000 units, so my guess is that number 29999 for 10,000 for the Rattler. Just a guess.
I'd love it if that's the case. That'd be great.
I think that would actually balance out quite nicely, because I think people are willing for that at that price point. And of course, we've seen the popularity of the brand, the line in these HasLabs. We've seen it move quick. If it's impressive, like I'm sure it will be, then I think we could see it doing quick things early on and hitting those those tiers pretty fast as well. Now, that said, Pat, in terms of one thing I will add, I think we're going to get the wing tilt. I think that's pretty obvious. That's going to be really cool, and possibly even a wing fold, so you can kind of store it.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
The other thing I was thinking of were battle damage panels, and maybe a broken cockpit to homage that shakedown issue, or maybe even just the battle damage panels that you get with the original version 1 vehicle.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad idea either. There's a lot of other stuff they could battle damage. They could battle damage like the top of one of the engines, or and I'm sure there'll be effects pieces that will
the blast
what we're looking at here. Yeah,
blast
I'm really
effects.
Curious to see how Wild Weasel is. I'm almost hoping for a very updated Wild Weasel.
Okay.
Because I don't think that they should not put Wild Weasel at retail.
I get what you're saying. So do like a more retro carded version, maybe further down the line or something.
Right. So if they're going to do, like, thinking ahead for what I would like for the whole line, I would like the opportunity to have Wild Weasel at retail for people not getting this. And with that in mind, I would want the Wild Weasel that comes with this to be different. So do you do the comic book one? I think you were talking about this the other night.
Yeah.
Do you do the comic book one, or do you do
I had fun.
Very different?
I had a fun idea. I'll see how you feel about this, but you could have like a female Wild Weasel sort of design gunner, and you put her in the Comic Colors deco. So you've got like a, like a fun little homage to it almost.
Yeah, I was actually scraping paint on my back porch while you were live streaming the other night.
Oh,
so
nice.
I wasn't commenting, but I was listening. Yeah, so I agree. I think that would be a good idea. Establishing some crew, because that's always the weird thing with vintage G.I. Joe Cobra vehicles, is if they come with a unique character, then what would the standard pilot look like for that vehicle?
Right.
So Wild Weasel is a unique character, and that kind of makes it strange to not have a standard pilot. So yeah, I think that giving a gunner and a pilot for the Rattler would make a lot of sense, and then maybe changing Wild Weasel up for it. But if you don't have that fully red figure, is that going to be a detriment to the sale of the Rattler? Maybe. So that's why I was kind of thinking, do a very updated kind of like something very classified, like have Lenny go crazy on updating Wild Weasel to be very different.
Make him an actual weasel.
Right. To battle Apsara.
Same size as a weasel as well.
Yeah, and in the fact, in the way that they also will release retail stuff to support the HasLab stuff once it starts to ship.
Yeah,
that would be a great time to do a retro carded Wild Weasel.
Totally,
right?
totally. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that one. Rachel says I like the Fun School Wild Weasel deco. There's that bright red and blue, like light blue kind of color.
Yeah, and he comes with a parachute. So, and you talked about how they've been like we're going to get parachutes. So maybe that would actually be really cool. What if they did that as a retro carded thing? And even if it was the original Wild Weasel colors, give him a parachute on a retro card. Oh, that'd be awesome.
A couple of comments in here as well. RKW and Liquid Identity 101 are talking about the fact that could this be the first time we see Wild Weasel's face?
Oh,
that's interesting, isn't it? Or maybe just kind of balaclava under a removable helmet, possibly.
Yeah, that would be cool.
What would you want to see, though, Pat? Would you want to see a face done specifically?
I mean, we've seen his eyes, right, in the 25th line.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that I'd rather have a balaclava or some sort of like smaller mask under there because if you did the smaller mask thing, you could have that also double for like a Cobra Trooper or a Cobra Rattler pilot.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah, you could definitely generic that up and do that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Retro Rome has just subscribed to Articulated Points. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. This is great. I'm going to do a quick check before moving on to the next point here on the Articulated Points channel, and we are at 985. Pat, this is moving, mate. This is like a HasLab. This is like a G.I. Joe HasLab, mate. You are getting to.
I don't have any stretch goals or anything to give away,
Well, the stretch goal is everyone gets to see the stream.
That is true. Yes. Yeah.
The stretch goals are whatever that comes with the HasLab Rattler, mate. At this rate, doesn't it? Amazing. We saw his face a bit when his mask was broken in Shakedown. Yes, Sammy, of course, but we're talking all of it. We're talking a full frontal. Gross. Right. Anyway, that said, it's pretty, exciting. Any other characters you'd want to see them introduce, Pat? I know there's like a lot of kind of discussion about not necessarily wanting army builders, but like it's kind of a bit difficult with Cobra, isn't it? I mean, the His Tank, effectively all of those figures are army builder figures. What would you like to see them do with the Rattler in terms of kind of character tiers?
I don't know, because I assume that it's going to be more Cobra based. I was looking at your list, and it's all in code, so it's hard for me to say, oh, I'd like a Scooby-Doo repainted or whatever the hell that list says. But I assume that it's
amazing.
Yeah,
I like a lot of people coming in the comments here. There's some good options though. We've got classified ramp rat, which is a good shout actually, Jeff.
Yes.
I like that one. Blue Baroness says 49 O'Brien. I'd like actually, do you know what? Now you say Blue Baroness, I'd like Baroness if they were to do Baroness, do her in blue, because obviously we have that precedent and it makes sense for the Rattler, and give her that helmet from the Sunbow cartoon. So
I
she's
like that idea a lot. Whenever
That's-
you were talking about that the other day, that's a great idea. And even hinting that maybe that helmet is a helmet that would be used by a trooper, and Baroness just put one on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, all that's a good idea. Explore some of that stuff. I love the stuff that explores the past, but utilizes that to make something new.
And I was also thinking, like, with the Paraviper, right? I think the Paraviper would be a good one to throw in there because, again, parachute. But then also the fact that we've got two different decos of the Paraviper. We've got the blue, we've got the black. I think you could definitely get away with doing maybe even a black one with the Rattler if that isn't too like silly. And then you do the blue one as a regular retail, or vice versa. One of them gets regular retail, one of them gets the officer treatment, and you end up with a tier for the Rattler.
Yeah, but that black and red one looks so much like his fire team that, as I've pointed out before, that could just mean that if the gunner of his tank is taken out, the Paraviper just parachutes in and takes his place.
Amazing. It just lands perfectly in the thing, and then yeah, that's absolutely genius. And then he gets taken out, and then the other guy comes in, and then there's just a pile of bodies that the guy's like on the top of, trying to reach down to the gun. That would be so harsh. But no, that's actually hilarious, but also a great idea. So yeah, anything like that would be kind of fun. I feel like we're going to be surprised with this one. I feel like they're going to come up with some things that maybe we haven't really discussed. They might do some new things. I don't know. We'll have to see now at this point. But it's all very exciting. Now, on top of all of that discussion, there is going to be an event at SDCC on day 2 on Friday for the Transformers and G.I. Joe Energon universe, and that is at 4:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. That's in room 5AB, and that will be discussing obviously the current Energon universe, which has been absolutely taking the comics world by storm, and doing an amazing job as they have been, Skybound, with all of their different kind of things. The Kickstarter, which was record breaking, which is still blowing my mind. I still can't really wrap my head around that. The fact that we've got the Energon universe and a Real American Hero running, at the same time as well. It's a good time to be a Joe Comics and general Joe fan, is it not, Pat?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, we've said that many times over the last 30 years. But
that was hard to say, wasn't it?
It was hard to say.
That was rough. That's rough. And not to mention, on top of all that, Super 7 and the O-Ring and the Ultimates. And I mean, there's Mezco and, high-end 6-inch figures. You've got 3-0 doing high-end 12-inch figures. You've got Higher doing the occasional figure, multiple figure reveals with no actual releases. But you've got Higher doing stuff as well. I mean, it is quite crazy the amount of stuff that's happening at the moment, and it's kind of seems to continue moving, which is the other surprising thing as well. Like there's movement going everywhere.
Right. Yeah. It's all the wheels are turning on all G.I. Joe everywhere.
It's nuts.
Anyway, Haya needs to release some stuff though. It's
100%.
Yeah.
We've had Dusty recently, for goodness sake, as a reveal, and we still haven't had the third figure show up. And we're at 20 now, I think.
It's just a virtual collection at this point.
It's NFTs all over again.
Yeah.
The Energon universe will feature Robert Kirkman, Daniel Warren Johnson, Joshua Williamson, Tom Riley, and Sean Makovitz as well. So it's going to be a pretty awesome panel. So check that out. Like I said, day 2 of Skybound. Now, the last thing to discuss here, Pat, I think it's the last thing to discuss on this particular segment, is Walmart Collecticon. Now, there is going to be a on the 18th of this month. There's going to be a sneak peek of the new and exclusive drops. The images they have on Walmart Collecticon obviously are not G.I. Joe related. It's I think Venom and there's another character as well. I forget now, but they're Marvel Legends, I believe. Now with that, we do know that this 2-pack with Night Force Falcon and Heart Wrencher is around the corner for Walmart. Will that happen this particular event? We don't know, but it's the only one we're aware of currently. So that is the possibility that we could see this one either for this con or for the next one later in the year. First off, I'm still wrapping my head around the oddest decision to do a 2-pack of a Night Force Falcon and a Heart Wrencher.
You know, I think that they may be afraid that people wouldn't buy Falcon out of fear or wouldn't pre-order it.
Right. I thought you were going to say wouldn't buy Heart Wrencher, but no, that is an interesting point. Yeah.
But I think that an update to Falcon, people like Falcon. They just didn't like the Falcon we got. None of us liked the Falcon that we got.
True.
So I don't know who said that they need to. Oh, come on, Night Force Falcon look like Don Johnson. I would love that figure 6-pack. Yeah, I think that's definitely something. I would have just wanted to license Don Johnson's likeness and made him into Falcon. I think that would be perfect. I don't think that's going to happen, but that's much what I would prefer. And even if they make him, just go ahead and double dip on me and release it sometime 6 months down the road, and I will rebuy Falcon. If they do that.
I will tell you now, though, it's going to be a different Falcon. It's not going to be the same one repainted.
Well, is it just the head that's going to be different, or is it going to be the whole body? Because
from what we've heard from Lenny and the team, it is a new Falcon entirely.
Good.
So yeah, I think we're going to get something a little bit. You know, we're going to get something better in this sense. I'm still a bit confused. My confusion with the Heart Wrencher inclusion here is that I thought she would be prime real estate for a vamp repaint of the Ground Assault. I thought that they would go together so perfectly, as we have seen in the club in the past. So yeah, do you think that would probably be a thing that they've thought of and gone, well, we might not do that because we don't think it would sell? What would you think on that?
I don't know. I mean, you could also get like Storm Rider or somebody else in there.
Burnout.
Yeah, there's a lot of other Dreadnoks still to go.
Chaos.
Or I think that Torch was originally intended for the Stinger. So wouldn't it be cool if he was in with the Dreadnought Ground Assault? And, you know, maybe it's time to visit some of those redecos of the Dreadnoks. Maybe you could get like Fun School Buzzer instead with it.
School Buzzer. Or they could throw Monkey Wrench in there and have him in his denim and the blonde hair.
Yeah, something like that. Or Buzzer with glasses that stay on, and everybody would want it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Buzzer with glasses that stay on would be an actual upgrade massively. Zanya is a good shout, 80s Toy Boy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Anyway, that is pretty much all we can really kind of speculate on at this point. Like I said, we don't know any other Walmart listings that we're aware of at the moment for this year. So at this stage, it could be that we don't see any G.I. Joe for this particular CollectorCon. It's very, it's very likely we don't see anything, and this 2-pack is for later in the year. But I'm just putting it out there as a possibility, and basically. So it's good to know all the information that we're aware of at the moment anyway, and that's all we are aware of currently. Right then, I'm not just because I want Pat to have a nice experience today. We're going to forego the listings. We've gone over it loads.
And that's not just coincidental with the leaked listings.
Yeah, let's
5 more minutes, and that's it.
Well, let's do it. Let's do shout-outs. Let's get into
Have you tried Hoarder yet? No? Well, you need to. If you have a collection of things and want to create a fun and easy way of organising it and, of course, showing it off, then get involved. You can post items and build collections, and you can drop a status like getting a fun delivery or seeing some awesome related stuff on your travels. Build your collections with Hoarder. The app is free to download on Google Play and the App Store, so what are you waiting for? Get to hoarding.
Right then, Pat, take us through your shout-outs. We'll rinse through these.
Shout out, as always, to Philip. Thank you, everyone, already for supporting Articulated Points throughout this episode. I really genuinely appreciate it. Hopefully, you'll enjoy some of the videos that we have on there. In addition to Philip is going to try to get those SDCC panels live streamed for us. So I appreciate that.
Let's do one more final push. We're at 987 at the moment, which is amazing. If we get to 1,000.
Maybe there's a time delay on some of those. So hopefully we can get to 1,000 a couple days before SDCC. Because like I said, YouTube doesn't necessarily unlock that right as soon as you hit 1,000. And we could have somebody unsubscribe at some point, and maybe that's why they don't do that automatically.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need 1,000 so that there's a possibility of that to happen.
It's only for all our benefits, guys. So
it will be. I should say it is going to be streaming. The thing that it does is if you don't hit 1,000, it limits the number of people that can watch during the live stream. So some people will have to watch it after the fact.
Yeah.
And we did have people saying, hey, I would like to get in on the live stream and it won't let me. And it's like, well, we don't have 1,000 subscribers, and that's why.
It's ridiculous considering how good those SDCC panels do for you guys as well. So yeah, go check, get it done, get subbed, and we'll everyone will have the opportunity to watch that perfectly. See, I'm concerned because I don't want to be like logging in expecting to see it and get the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I've just been getting lucky recently, but anyway, good shout out. And there's another one for you, Pat, as well, isn't there? I believe.
There is, yes. Thank you very much to the crew that I saw at Joe Fest, and my biggest and best pickup at Joe Fest was from Stephen Kelly.
Hey.
Yeah, I wish that I had it right next to me, but it's on the kitchen table right now, waiting because I think that I'm going to. Well, I did buy a replacement missile rack because the missile rack is awesome, but I want it to stay that way for the ATC. So. For the ATC he sold me, it's amazing. I've always loved that vehicle. I kind of feel like, well, I think it's safe to say that it's better than the GI Joe one, the APC, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to know that I didn't get the good one as a kid. The APC really is the action figure storage truck.
Yeah, and totally.
The ATC, the only tragedy with it is that it didn't see more use.
Yeah.
Like
definitely.
If Toys R Us had pulled that out in like the early 2000s and repainted it as a part of a sub team or something like that, because it really is an amazing vehicle. I love it. If you haven't checked that out, I mean, just even having it in hand at the show, other people were looking at it and it's like, oh, there's an accessory storage locker in it. Yeah, there is. It's amazing. It has the tow hook. Yeah, I love it.
Pat. 992. We are 8 subs away.
Oh, I think that we can get there. I think we can.
Well, I'm still going to rinse through everything really fast, but yeah, massive shout out, of course, as Pat just mentioned, to the crew at Joe Fest and to Stephen Kelly. Yeah,
it was nice to see everybody in person. Brian and Patty and Ray. Yeah, it was. I appreciated that so many people actually flew so far to hang out and have. Just a meetup of GI Joe collectors be a lot of fun. But like I said, it was difficult because finding time, there were so many people to talk to. It was a good time.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you had a good time, and we'll definitely try and aim to get there next year, 100%. Also, shout out to my wonderful wife, Kate, and Phoebes upstairs, and of course the wonderful families in the UK and in the US. Of course, love you guys very much. Just got back, obviously, from seeing Kate's fam, and my fam came to visit us a few weeks prior to that as well. So it's been a nice chunk of time seeing all the family and everything. So that's awesome. Anyway, also shout out to Brian Sauer. Who does our amazing graphics, and of course another shout out for Assembly Required, which is in November this year in Des Moines, Iowa. More details obviously to follow. Go check out their website for a little bit more information, and of course more info on all the info for like hotels and all that kind of jazz will be coming very soon. So keep an eye on that. November 8th and 9th, 2024, and it's going to have an interesting Destro theme as well, which is pretty cool. Now. Also want to shout out the current pre-order, still I think in the early bird bundle deal, believe it or not. for Battle Action Force Treasury Editions. Go check it out. Link in the description right now. Obviously, that is doing really well, by the way. So everyone's very happy currently with the progress of this. And I am very excited now to be getting these very soon. Can't wait. Excited for these, Pat? Quick.
Yeah, it's a pre-order, not a Kickstarter, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
But they do an early bird bundle deal, and yeah, this is one of those things where they need a certain amount to get it going. Effectively, we're already in a good position, so
That's good news. Yeah, I thought that I had done it, and then during their panel, I was like, I need to make sure that I did. And so I looked around, and I don't think that I'm going to be getting 2 sets. Yeah, I think that I had not pre-ordered yet, so I have now. During their panel, I was like, okay, I need to do this, and I pre-ordered. And I'm really excited to get these. This is something I've been looking forward to.
We'll be speaking with Brian Hickey very soon as well about this. So we'll get on an interview probably the next week or 2 to get a bit more information going. Anyway, so that's awesome. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Total Toy Books. Shout out to Hasbro, to Skeletron, to Rebellion. Everyone involved in this amazing project. Also, massive shout out to Carson and the art, of course, the omnibus edition and Digipack is now available for pre-order on most places like BBTS, Entertainment Earth, like everywhere. It's out there now. So get involved with this. It's an absolute beauty.
Yeah, super convenient ways to get this, and it's heavy. It's huge. You won't believe if you don't have it already. You won't believe it where you have it in hand.
Mine's here, and I'm not even going to pick it up to show you because it will kill my arms.
Yeah, I pushed mine across the floor actually yesterday when I needed to move some things to get around in my toy room. It's not something that you like. Picking it up is great, but it tells you something where you're like, I'd rather push it across the floor. It's that much of something.
It's huge,
heavy,
and awesome. So yeah, get involved. And also shout out to Carson for his amazing work.
I should say that I have it still in the shipping box. Like I returned it to that. I'm not like kicking it around.
Yeah, I was going to say like,
yeah,
on a gravel car park as well. No, it's not that bad. Also, shout out to Skinny Joe fan who posted this amazing video of it's a G.I. Joe comic. It's My Dinner with Serpentor Marvel issue, but done in an animated kind of like fashion. So he's done all this amazing work. He's worked with Brian Cummings, the original voice actor for Dr. Mindbender. He's worked with Mary McDonald Lewis is in it as well. So he got some big names to do the voice acting, and you might notice a cheeky little cameo from yours truly in there very early on in the video. So if you can pick it out, you might be able to work it out. But yeah, I did help out with a little bit on this. So go check out, link in the description to the video. It's My Dinner with Serpentor, and if you can't find it in the description, if I've forgotten to put it in there, my bad. Go on our YouTube page, on our Facebook page, you'll find it there. So that's really cool, and shout out to Skinny Joe fan for an amazing little video. So like 6.5 minutes long, so it's really cool. Go check it out. And as well as that, massive shout out to Paul Pamphilone at Plastic Battles, of course, on most platforms. Did this beauty. He's got this like little current run of Big Boa images he's doing, and this is another beauty, and I wanted to highlight this one as well. Massive shout out to Paul. Go check out his Thursday Night Battles videos on Instagram as well. They're really cool. I was watching one last night, in actual fact. So shout out to Paul. I know you're in the chat as well, dude. And of course, Kickley Corner has returned because he's done a few more. So he's got the Sarge giving Destro the old Cobra Clutch treatment. And he's got Baroness and Soundwave, which is pretty cool. Like these ones, Pat?
Yeah, the one on the right actually looks like it's something that, perhaps I commissioned. You know what I mean? I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, Baroness, I love the Baroness, and Soundwave, that's 1984 Transformers for me. He was the one I wanted the most.
He was a cool figure, definitely. Anyway, brilliant. That brings us to a close. Oh no! Before we go, I just want to thank everyone for getting involved with the Roma Collectibles F Cancer and Cancer Sucks t-shirts. Obviously, this is very close to home for a lot of us, and we did thankfully get a chance to see and hang out with Aaron and Sarah last weekend. So thank you so much, guys, for everyone that kind of like bought a t-shirt to help with this situation currently. And yeah, it sucks and it's awful, but thank you so much for kind of giving a little bit of hope as well. If you did get involved and buy some t-shirts as well, thank you so much, guys. I don't think these are available anymore at the moment. I think the pre-orders have gone out, or will be kind of getting made to go out. So if you did order a t-shirt, you will be getting them pretty soon. And like I said, massive shout out to Aaron, who is going through it at the moment, and to all the friends and family, of course. I know, Pat, you're close as well with Aaron, of course, as well.
Yeah, and I was just going to add that I believe that there's a live benefit auction tomorrow at 3 p.m. on the Route 68 Toy Mall Facebook page.
Awesome.
So 3 p.m. tomorrow, that's a live charity toy auction happening, and they've already shown some of the stuff that's going to be available, and it's going to be pretty good. It's going to be a big auction. Even if you don't know Aaron, he's a good person to support, and if you don't know him at all and you're just a toy guy that would happen across that auction, I think that there's going to be some stuff very worth bidding on. So I would say definitely show up and let's support Aaron.
100%. Anyway, all the love to Aaron and the family and all the friends and everyone and everything. It sucks, but yeah, let's help in every way we can as well. Anyway, that brings us to a close for this weekly episode. Pat, mate, thank you so much for jumping on, buddy. I know you were a bit late on, but you only missed the coin, so it's not that big deal, is it? Really, at the end of the day,
it doesn't count as a coin when it's card shaped.
No,
it's a metal card, isn't it?
It's a metal card, 100%. See. It's a Notpicard coin, isn't it?
Yeah, well, okay. I don't know, because that should be card. All right.
Anyway, that's it. Stay fresh, cheese bags. I'll be back soon. I'll be doing a Patreon video on Sunday, and of course, we've got loads of news to cover eventually, I'm sure. Stay fresh, cheese bags, and as always, after 3, you know what to do. 1, 2, 3.
Full force.
Laters.
Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on X, formerly Twitter, @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page, facebook.com/TheFullForce. We've also added a brand new Instagram, so check us out there as well @The Full Force Podcast, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on any of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.